Hello everybody, and welcome to our first anniversary review. I am Pat from Pat's Path Predictor, and today and tomorrow are actually the anniversary of the 1974 Super Outbreak that impacted 13 states. So let's go ahead and review this, and let's talk about it and see why this is so memorable and what kind of tornadoes this thing spawned. Alright, so basically this is the 1974 Super Outbreak, and it was the second largest tornado outbreak on record in a single 24-hour period, which it spawned almost 150 tornadoes, and this was broken by the 2011 Super Outbreak. Now, there is debate on whether the 2011 or 1974 Super Outbreak was worse. The 1974 outbreak was worse in my opinion. I'm going to show you a few reasons why. First of all, the fatalities in 1974, it was 319 fatalities, 319 people got killed, and almost 5,500 people got hurt from this thing. And the damage, if we do it to the United States dollars today, would be about $4.5 billion. The 2011 Super Outbreak was more expensive, around $10 billion, but the 2011 Super Outbreak did not spawn this many EF4s and EF5s tornadoes right here. There were 23 EF4 tornadoes that spawned during this Super Outbreak in 1974, and there were 7 EF5s. It is very rare to get one EF5 tornado in an outbreak. 7 is almost unprecedented, and that is the most EF5 tornadoes we've gotten in an outbreak in the United States right here. So I want people to understand this as we go through this. Never before have there been so many violent EF4, EF5 tornadoes that have been observed in a single tornado outbreak. There were 7 EF5 tornadoes and 23 EF4s. The outbreak began in Morris, Illinois around 1 p.m. on April 3rd. As the system moved east, when daytime heating made it more unstable, the tornadoes grew way more intense. A tornado struck Monticello, Indiana with an EF4 strength and a path of 121 miles right here. The longest path of any tornado during this outbreak. So yeah, these were some long track tornadoes. It was pretty common during this outbreak to see tornadoes that went over 50 miles in length. And we'll talk about some of these notable tornadoes right here. The Dupont-Daisy Hill tornado. This was one of the EF5s right here. The next EF5 we'll talk about was one of the most insane tornadoes I've ever had to look at. But this is the Dupont-Daisy Hill tornado, one of the EF5s produced during this outbreak. The Dupont tornado was the first to form, touching around 3:20 local time. It was probably the least known EF5 tornado of this outbreak, as it's traveled through rural areas of southern Indiana, northwest of Louisville, about 65 miles through parts of Perry and Harrison counties. EF5 damage was observed near the community of Dupont, where numerous farms were leveled. Now, even EF5, like, they say this was one of the lesser known ones, and like it said, it was around rural areas, but it did impact several communities in Indiana. So yeah, I think it was it would probably, because it was overshadowed by another tornado that we're going to be looking at. Areas near Palmyra and Borden were heavily affected by this tornado. Morgan Elementary School in northern Harrison County was directly hit, which that's awful. Like, if an EF5 tornado hits a school, like, that school is going to sustain either very critical damage or it's going to be completely destroyed, depending on how strong the structure is. 4 classrooms were destroyed, and the roof was completely removed from the school and placed on to the cars of the faculty. Oh, that's just even worse right here. Basically, that's unfortunate. The children were huddled in the halls. They were not injured. Thank God they were not. I'm glad they took this seriously when they did. All but 10 homes were destroyed, and in the Daisy Hill community, it was completely swept away in the EF5 intensity. Like, all but 10 homes in Martinsburg. The Greenville tornado that hit in Greenville, Kansas in 2007, it leveled pretty much every building in Greenville but 2 of them. And we'll talk about that tornado in a later video. So yeah, I thought I'd want to mention this because this was pretty crazy. And there were published photographs of this storm. This is one of them right here, which Even if this was weaker, you would not want to kid around with this. This is an EF5 tornado we are looking at. And for those viewers who are under the threat of a tornado, treat every tornado like it's about to hit your home. Treat every tornado like I wouldn't say treat every tornado like an EF5, but treat every tornado like it's that's about to hit your home. Treat every tornado like that, and head straight into your basement or an interior room, and keep as many walls away from you as possible. So yes, take every tornado seriously, even if it's an EF0. Take it seriously. And now this tornado right here, the Xenia, Ohio tornado. I'm not sure if I pronounced that, but it doesn't matter. This was the strongest tornado during this outbreak right here. There were winds of over 300 miles per hour that was recorded at the time with this tornado, EF5 strength. And look at this right here. This is probably one of the most terrifying photographs of a tornado I have ever seen. And yeah, this is basically Xenia during the super outbreak. Like, man, these cars, like, if this tornado is coming right at them, these cars are going to be just crushed, destroyed. Like, they won't even exist. But yeah, the tornado that struck Xenia, Ohio, stands as the strongest individual tornado of the 1974 outbreak, killing 32 people and destroying a significant portion of the town. The tornado formed near Bellbrook, Ohio, southwest of Xenia, around 4:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. This began as a moderate-sized tornado, but then it intensified while moving northeast around 50 miles per hour. That's considerably fast for a tornado, and tornadoes can move at any speed. Sometimes they can be near stationary. Other times they can be moving at 60 miles per hour, and you can't see them coming. But 50 miles per hour, that's a fast tornado. That's very fast. And this thing exhibited a multi-vortex structure, which is the worst tornado you could ever get like here, because a multi-vortex tornado, there is the main tornado, and there are sub-vortices all around this tornado. And one of the best examples of this was the 2013 El Reno tornado, when there were a lot of sub-vortices that were around this thing. I believe there were around four. I think there were four of them that were just rotating around the main funnel of it. But yeah, that's if you are ever told that a multi-vortex tornado is heading to your town, seek shelter immediately and take it very seriously, because it is tornado season as of right now, and I don't kid around with stuff like this. And this multi-vortex structure became very large as it approached town. Gil Whitney, the weather specialist for the WHIO TV in Dayton, alerted viewers in Montgomery and Greene counties, where Xenia is located, about the possible tornado, broadcasting the radar image of the supercell with a pronounced hook echo on the rear flank of the storm several minutes before it actually struck. So, yeah, this isn't like the 1950s. This is 1974, so their technology is a bit more sophisticated at this point. But yeah, it does not compare to the stuff we have today, but at least we have at least it is more sophisticated when it was. So, yeah, this thing was pretty crazy. The storm was visible on radar because raindrops were wrapping around the circulation. The massive tornado slammed into the western parts of Xenia, completely flattening the Windsor Park and Arrowhead subdivisions at EF5 intensity and sweeping away entire rows of brick homes with little debris left behind in some areas. Extensive windrowing of debris occurred in nearby debris fields. Little debris left behind in some areas. Like, everything's completely gone at that point. And, like, I have never experienced that. But it's very hard for me to imagine just everything you know and love. Just a tornado comes, and after that, just it sweeps away your house, and there's not even very much damage left. It's just sweeps through, and it lands potentially up to a half a mile away. That's how strong tornadoes like these can get, and that's how powerful they get. One tornado, for example, actually lifted a sheet of paper and it flung about 220 miles, just for context. But like others, like mattresses, like I think it was like there was one mattress that went like 50 miles. So yeah, it's not far-fetched to say that this tornado did just take away everything and threw it potentially up to a half a mile away. So it's not that far-fetched to say that, but yeah. When the storm reached central Xenia around 4:40 p.m., apartment buildings, homes, businesses, churches, and schools, including Xenia High School, were destroyed. Students in the school practicing a play took cover in the main hallway seconds before the tornado dropped a school bus on the stage where they had been practicing and extensively damaged the school building. So these kids who were practicing, they were extremely lucky, and they were extremely lucky to take action when they did. And several railroad cars were lifted and blown over as the tornado passed over a moving Penn Central freight train in the central of the town. It toppled headstones in Cherry Grove Cemetery and then moved through the length of the downtown business district, passing west of the courthouse, which sustained some exterior damage. Numerous businesses in downtown Xenia were heavily damaged or destroyed, and several people were killed at the A&W root beer stand as the building was flattened. Oh wow, that's all I have to say about that. At the time, this was the state's highest tornadic death for a single building since 1953. Past downtown, the tornado continued into the Pinecrest Garden District, which is extensively affected. The Xenia tornado was actually recorded on film by one resident. And it was also, there was a sound recording by another person, and they actually paired the two recordings together, which makes it all the more crazy and astonishing, honestly. But yeah, this picture right here once again is probably the scariest tornado photo I have ever seen. Seeing homes just getting just demolished by this tornado, seeing debris all over the place, seeing these cars just parked right here. Like, if this tornado was heading right towards them, it would not go very well. That's an understatement. These cars would be gone. But yeah, even President Nixon, he visited Xenia a few days later, and it was the only city he visited, which just shows how bad this outbreak was. And this is what he said. As I look back over the disasters, I saw the earthquake in Anchorage. I saw hurricanes such as Camille in Mississippi. I saw Hurricane Agnes in Pennsylvania, and it's hard to tell the difference among all of them. But I would say in terms of destruction, just total devastation, this is the worst I've ever seen. He declared it a disaster area, and honestly, Xenia probably saw the worst, some of the worst damage during the super outbreak. But I want to talk about two other tornadoes, because the Tanner, Alabama tornado, I wouldn't say tornado, I would say tornadoes, because it got hit by two EF5s. The first tornado was formed around 6:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time, and ended about 90 minutes later in Madison County, Alabama, killing 28 people. The first tornado touched down near the small community of Mount Hope, and then tracked into Mount Mora, where the tornado rapidly intensified and swept away homes and hurled fleeing vehicles, where a family of 6 was killed. Man, that's everyone's worst night. I would say that's a lot of people's worst nightmare. Just trying to get away from a tornado, and then the tornado catches up to you and just overtakes your vehicle. And yeah, it's really hard to have say anything about that. But further along the track, many homes were swept away from near Moulton. A water pump was completely lifted out of a warehouse along Alabama State Route 157 in this area. In one case, the destruction was so complete that a witness reported that the largest recognizable objects were among the scattered debris were an obliterated house and some bed springs. The tornado crossed into Morgan County, causing additional destruction in rural areas near Hillsborough and Trinity. Crossing the Tennessee River into Limestone County as a large waterspout, the tornado flattened a 3/4 of a mile wide swath of trees in the opposite bank. Ground scouring occurred in this area as a reddish soil was dug up and plastered against trees. If this ground is getting scoured, by these tornadoes. Like that's like it's literally picking up at least several inches of soil and just flinging it around all over the place. That's how powerful these tornadoes can get. And these EF5s do not kid around, especially like if you're seeing an EF5, just expect complete destruction. And I've said this before, but one EF5 is very rare. 7 in 24 hours is unprecedented. So, yeah. The tornado then continued to Madison County and struck the Capshaw and Harvest areas. Numerous homes and harvests in the surrounding rural areas of the county were swept completely away and scattered, and the extensive rowing of debris was noted. A bathtub of one resident was completely deeply embedded into the ground. Rather, past harvest, the tornado abruptly dissipated northeast of town, with having a peak width of 500 yards. This is that picture right here. Like, this bathtub is so embedded, and it's so cracked too. It would have to be, I don't know how difficult it would be. It would have to be extremely difficult to dig this thing and get it out. So, yeah, and that's just the first one. The second one formed about an hour later, and there were rescue efforts underway even, and this is just adds insult to injury right here. So the first tornado, 28 people got killed, a further 16 got killed, and over 190 injuries. And this is just terrible right here. Rescue efforts were underway to look for people under destroyed structures. Few were aware that another violent tornado would strike the area. The path of the second tornado, which was formed around 7:35 p.m. Central Daylight Time and had 63 miles in length, also had a peak of around 500 yards. The storm formed along the north bank of the Tennessee River, less than a mile from the path of the earlier storm, and it was very closely paralleling to its predecessor as it tore through Limestone and Madison counties. 16 people were killed in the second tornado. Tanner was the first community to be hit, and many structures that were left standing after the first tornado were destroyed with the second one. Just imagine a very powerful tornado just tears through your town, and you're starting to recover, trying to find people, and then an hour later, another tornado, a very powerful tornado, just destroys everything that's left. Like, I cannot fathom that. I cannot really fathom that at all. But this is what happened right here. And basically, 16 people were killed in this tornado, and a man injured at Lawson's Trailer Park was the first within the first tornado, was taken to a church in the area, which collapsed in the second tornado, killing him. Just, oh my God, that's like, I don't really have any words to. I don't really have any words at this point. Man. After devastating what was left in Tanner, the tornado continued across the rural Limestone County into Madison County, where communities of Crapshaw and Harvest were just devastated once again. Man. Numerous homes through Madison County were swept completely away, with extensive wind-rowing debris noted once again. Past Harvest, the tornado swept away multiple additional homes in the Hazel Green area. The tornado continued northeastward through rural portions of Madison County before crossing into Tennessee, where major damage and 6 deaths were occurred in Franklin and Lincoln counties before the tornado dissipated in Coffee County. 2 of the fatalities in Tennessee occurred when a church was destroyed during service. The death toll from the 2 tornadoes was 45, and over 400 people were injured. Most of the fatalities occurred in and around the Tanner area. Over 1,000 homes, 200 mobile homes, and numerous other outbuildings, automobiles, power lines, and trees are completely demolished or heavily damaged. The most recent official National Weather Service records show that both of the Tanner tornadoes were rated EF5. However, the rating of the second Tanner tornado is still disputed by some scientists. Analysis of one publication estimates EF3 to EF4 damage among the entirety of the second storm's path. Well, this is the second state to have been hit by more than 2 EF5 tornadoes during the 1974 Super Outbreak. The next occurrence of 2 EF5 tornadoes hitting in the same state on the same day occurred in March 1990 in Kansas, and then both in Mississippi and Alabama on April 27, 2011. Meanwhile, the next EF5 to hit the state it was April 4th, 1977, near Birmingham. Tanner was hit yet again by another EF5 tornado during the 2011 super outbreak. So, Tanner, Alabama appears to be one portion of ground zero for these kinds of tornadoes. Like, it was hit by two EF5s in 1974, hit by another EF5 in 2011. This kind of stuff that we're talking about here is not kidding around. This super outbreak was the worst outbreak to hit the United States, and some dispute that with the 2011 super outbreak, but like, the reason I say this is the worst outbreak to hit in U.S. history is because there were 30 EF4s and EF5 tornadoes occurring at that one point. In conclusion to this anniversary review, just the 1974 outbreak was just, I don't really have very many words to describe it, because I consider some of the damage from some of these tornadoes near apocalyptic, and that's saying a lot right there. But yeah, 7 EF5 tornadoes confirmed, 23 EF4s. You do not see that. Like, you don't really see that ever, honestly. Yet you saw it in 1974, and that's why this outbreak is so memorable, and that's why this is the worst outbreak than 2011, because just based on the fact that there were way more violent I wouldn't say way more, but there were more violent tornadoes like EF4s and EF5s. The in 2011 super outbreak, for context, had 4 EF5s. The 1974 had 7, and just that's basically all I have to really say about that. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this anniversary review. I hope you got something out of this. If you got anything out of this, whenever a tornado goes up, get into your shelter immediately, because you don't know how powerful it'll be when it hits your area, because tornadoes are so unpredictable. But anyway, it's outbreaks like these that when I always close my videos, I always the last 2 words I say is stay safe. But anyway, that's gonna wrap up this anniversary review. If you got something out of this, if you enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. And with that being said, have a wonderful day, guys. Stay safe.